Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Mustafa Afifi and today we'll be talking about hypothesis testing for USMLE in 5 minutes. What is the hypothesis testing? It's a group of statistical tests used to determine whether there is a statistically significant difference or relationship between the two variables in a research. How can we pick the test? We ask ourselves two questions. What is the type of our outcome? Is it a number or categories? And how many groups are we comparing? What is the types of data? There are two types of data, qualitative and quantitative. A quantitative data is a numerical data that can be either continuous or discrete. For example, blood pressure, cholesterol, height, weight, glucose. All these are numerical data that are usually expressed in mean plus or minus standard deviation. Meanwhile, qualitative data are categorical data that places subjects into groups. For example, sex, male or female, smoker or non-smoker, alive or dead, lung cancer, yes or no, blood group A, B, and O. We often express categorical data as percentages or proportions, but they still represent categories, not measurements. How can we choose a statistical test? Well, we look at the types of data. If we have two qualitative variables, we use the chi-square. For example, if it's smoking versus lung cancer, smoking is a yes or no question. Is he a smoker or not? And lung cancer is a yes or no question. So, if 5% of smokers develop lung cancer and 1% of non-smokers develop lung cancer, how will we compare these two variables using a chi-square test? Second, if it's a qualitative and quantitative, we compare between qualitative and quantitative variables in two groups. If it's two groups, we use the t-test. For example, mean blood pressure in male versus females. We compare the mean between these two groups using the t-test. There are two types of t-test, independent t-test and paired t-test. Independent t-test is comparing between the mean of two different groups. For example, in the example above, male versus female. Meanwhile, a paired t-test compare between mean of the same group before and after the intervention. For example, we compare the blood pressure of males before surgery and after surgery. So it's the same group of males. What about if it's a qualitative and quantitative, but here there are 3 or more groups? So it's like the above, but there are 3 or more groups. We use the ANOVA. So mean blood pressure in patient taking drug A, drug B, drug C. So drug A and B or C are qualitative, but there are 3 groups and the mean is quantitative. So we use the ANOVA. Last but not least, what about if it's two quantitative variables? We use something called the correlation coefficient, where we compare between height and weight, for example. Height in meters, which is a numerical, and weight, which is numerical. When we express the relationship, or when we assess the relationship between the two numerical variables, we use the correlation coefficient. If the coefficient correlation is near 1, this means that this is a positive correlation. As height increases, weight also increases. What about if it's a near negative 1? This means that it's a negative correlation. As height increases, weight decreases. If it's near 0, there is no correlation. So to conclude, if we compare between two qualitative variables, we use the chi-square. If it's one qualitative and quantitative, we look at the number of groups. If it's 2 groups, it's a t-test. If it's 3 or more groups, it's an ANOVA test. If it's 2 quantitative variables, we try to assess the relationship using the correlation coefficient. Our case is a research studies whether a new vaccine reduces the risk of influenza infection in 200 participants. These 200 participants are randomly assigned to receive either the vaccine or placebo and followed for 1 month to see if flu develops. Our results, whether these participants developed flu or not. So vaccine or placebo is a yes or no. So it's a categorical. Developed flu or not is also a yes or no. So it's another categorical. As we said above, if there are 2 categories and we want to compare between them, we use the chi-square test. This is hypothesis testing in brief for USMLE studies. Thank you for listening and good luck.